I didn't find out because my husband confessed. I didn't find out because someone felt sorry for me. I found out because I was the last person who was supposed to know. At the time, I still thought I was married to a good man. Not perfect, but decent, responsible, predictable. The kind of man people trust with their daughters. The kind of man elders point to and say, at least this one is stable. We had been married for 9 years. 9 years of routine, of shared bills, of family gatherings, of pretending everything was fine even when it wasn't. I worked. I paid my share. Sometimes more than my share when things were tight. I handled the house. I handled the emotional side of the marriage. I handled his moods, his stress, his silences. When he was quiet, I asked what was wrong. When he snapped, I apologized first. When his mother complained, I stayed respectful. I thought that was what being a good wife meant. I didn't know that while I was busy managing our marriage, he was creating another life outside it. The changes didn't start suddenly. They never do. He started coming home later than usual. At first, it was work, then it was traffic, then it was meetings that ran late. He started keeping his phone on silent. He would turn the screen down when messages came in. If I asked who he was talking to, he'd say, clients. I wanted to believe him, because believing him was easier than asking questions that might destroy my life. At night, he still slept in our bed. That's the part that makes people think nothing is wrong. He didn't move out. He didn't disappear. He didn't announce an affair. He stayed. But he stopped touching me. He stopped holding my hand. Stopped initiating intimacy. Stopped asking how my day went. When I tried to talk about it, he acted irritated. Why are you always looking for problems? Can't we just have peace in this house? That word peace became his shield. Any emotion I expressed was drama. Any concern was stress. Any question was disrespect. So I became quiet. I started choosing my words carefully. I started swallowing things that hurt me. I started convincing myself that this was normal marriage behavior. I didn't know that another woman was already part of my marriage. The first sign that something was deeply wrong came from his mother. She started visiting more often. She would come unannounced and sit in the living room, watching me like she was inspecting something she didn't approve of. She commented on my cooking, on how quiet the house was, on how marriage without children is fragile. We had tried for children. She knew that. My husband never defended me. He never said, please stop. He never changed the topic. He just stayed silent. That silence started to feel intentional. One afternoon, she looked at me and said, a man needs peace and continuity. A woman should know how to hold her home. I didn't respond. Later that night, I asked my husband why his mother kept saying those things. He said, you know how she is. Don't take it personally. That was his answer to everything. Don't take it personally. One wish I had taken it personally, because the truth was already unfolding right in front of me. The day I found out wasn't dramatic. I wasn't snooping. I wasn't suspicious. I was folding laundry. His phone was on the bed. It vibrated. A message preview lit up the screen. I saw one sentence. I'm exhausted. The baby hasn't stopped moving today. I froze. I read it again. Baby. My hands started shaking. I sat down slowly, like my legs forgot how to work. When he came out of the bathroom, I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I asked one question. Who is pregnant? He stared at me for a long time. Too long. That's when I knew. He didn't deny it. He didn't explain. He said, it's not what you think. That sentence is always what it is. And that was only the beginning. I didn't find out the way people expect. There was no lipstick on his shirt, no late-night text buzzing his phone, no smell of perfume. I found out because his mother stopped answering my calls. For years, she called me every morning. She asked what he ate. She asked if he slept well. She asked if I was taking care of him properly. Then suddenly, nothing. No calls, no replies. Just silence. When I asked my husband why his mother wasn't speaking to me anymore, he said, "She's busy." That was the first lie. The second lie came a week later when I noticed he started sleeping on the very edge of the bed. Our bodies didn't touch anymore. Not even accidentally. If I shifted in my sleep, he shifted away. One night, I reached for him. He stiffened. That's when I knew something was wrong. I asked him directly, "Is there someone else?" He didn't answer immediately. He sighed, long, heavy, like I was stressing him. "Why would you even think that?" he asked. I apologized. That's the part people don't talk about. How you apologize for asking questions that later destroy you. 2 weeks later, his sister came to the house unannounced. She didn't greet me properly. She walked past me and went straight into the bedroom. I followed her. She closed the door behind us and said, "You know, right?" I asked, "No what?" She looked at me like I was stupid, like I was slow. "She's pregnant," she said. The room spun. I asked her to repeat it. "She is pregnant." My brother got another woman pregnant. I asked the only question my mouth could form. "Who?" She gave me the name. A name I had heard before. A woman he once told me was just someone from work. I walked into the living room and sat down. My legs couldn't hold me anymore. When my husband came home that evening, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't throw anything. I asked one question. "How far along is she?" He stared at the floor and said, 5 months. 5 months. That meant he was lying beside me every night, eating my food, letting me wash his clothes, letting me defend him to my family. 5 months. I asked, "Does your mother know?" He said, "Yes." That's when I understood why she stopped calling. I asked, "So everyone knows except me?" He nodded. And then he said the sentence that broke something in me permanently. "She's keeping the baby, not we." She. I realized in that moment that my marriage had already ended. I was just the last person to be informed. After that day, my house stopped feeling like my house. He moved around like nothing had changed. He still ate the food I cooked, still dropped his clothes for me to wash, still expected me to ask what he wanted for dinner. But the respect was gone. He no longer tried to hide it. When I cried, he looked irritated. When I asked questions, he acted tired. When I went quiet, he seemed relieved. One evening, I asked him something simple. "What happens next?" He looked at me and said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You have a child on the way. What happens to me?" He leaned back on the couch and said, "Let's not rush things." That sentence made me feel stupid. I asked him if he loved her. He said, "It's not about love." I asked him if he planned to marry her. He said, "My mother is handling it." That was the moment I understood how small I had become in my own marriage. Decisions about my life were being made in rooms I was not allowed into. A week later, his mother came to the house. She didn't greet me. She went straight to the bedroom and sat on the bed like it belonged to her. She called my husband inside and closed the door. I could hear their voices, but not the words. After almost an hour, my husband came out. He didn't look at me. His mother came out last. She sat across from me and said, "You are a good woman, but life doesn't always go the way we plan." I waited for her to say more. She didn't. I asked her, "So what are you saying?" She said, "A child has already come. We cannot throw it away." I said, "And my marriage?" She looked at me like I asked something unreasonable. "Marriage is endurance," she said, "not happiness." That night, my husband told me I needed to adjust. He said, "This thing has happened. Fighting it will only stress you. Stress me. Not the woman carrying his child. Not the man who betrayed his vows. Me." He started staying out more. He stopped informing me where he was going. When I asked, he said, "You don't need to know everything." Sometimes he would come home smelling different. Not perfume, just unfamiliar, like another house. One night, I asked him if he had been to see her. He said, "Yes." Just like that. No shame, no apology. I asked, "Did you tell her you're married?" He looked at me and said, "She knows." That hurt more than I expected, because it meant she chose him knowing exactly who she was hurting. A few days later, she called me. I didn't save her number. I recognized the voice. She said, "I just want peace." Peace again. She said she wasn't trying to take my place. She said she just wanted her child to be recognized. She said my husband told her I was understanding. I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was insulting. When I told my husband she called me, he got angry. "Why did you talk to her like that?" he asked. I realized then that I was no longer his priority. I was the inconvenience, the problem, the woman who refused to disappear quietly. That night, I slept on the edge of the bed and stared at the wall until morning. And for the first time, I thought about leaving. Not because I was brave, but because staying was slowly destroying me.